Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for our Difference Maker Movement Chat. As always, we will start this series with one of our fun little quotes. My leadership makes a difference. And we picked this one out specifically because of our awesome dear guest, Judith Selzer. She is the co-founder of the Women's Foundation of Palm Beach County, and Mary and I are so excited to chat with her about her leadership style.
I am thrilled you're here. Thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for the invitation. I am just buzzing about being here today with the two of you.
Thank you.
We were actually just talking about Mary's whole little brand and buzzing and using bees and honey and everything, and she's super great at branding.
Well, thank you. But I have to say, I am one of your biggest fans. I think that all of this journey that this whole thing has taken me on has been to be able to meet some of the most awesome people I think I've ever come with in my life. And the day that we all came together and we sat down and we were just having a chat talking about, I had not heard about the Women's Foundation, bad me. And when you started to talk and you started telling me what you did, but then you told me the history of Judith and what you had done, and my mouth, after you picked me up and my mouth was on the floor, I just was so very impressed with what you've accomplished in your career and what you've done here. And really, my hat's off to you. Yeah. So, but I think this quote is so apropos for what you've accomplished here. And I got to be a partake and for what you do for young girls and helping them be recognized for the equals that they should be. My hat's off to you.
Well, thank you. Just gonna grow my ego so it's gigantic and big, but it takes a village. And as we were talking about before we started the show today, you know, part of what the Women's Foundation is doing is trying to help women kind of claim their own badassery. To take a term from Shonda Rhimes from Year of Yes, a book that we just read in our book club. So part of what she would say is just say thank you for the compliment and shut up and just accept it. So thank you for that. But it really does take a village to help empower women and girls, and that's all what the Women's Foundation is about, and why I think we have such synergy with you in the Office Depot Foundation, because you're creating the beehive and the wing women and women that can come together and support one another and lift one another up. And so there's just a lot of shared values between the Women's Foundation of Palm Beach County and the Office Depot Foundation.
So Judith, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about why you started the foundation?
Absolutely. So it was a group of women came together in 2007 who had this shared commitment to building women and girls leadership. And we like to say at the Women's Foundation, we empower women and girls to be leaders so that they can change the world. It's all about being a difference maker. And we noticed that there was a need in Palm Beach County, just like everywhere else, to ensure that women were visible, valued, and heard. Whether that be in the policy arena, we need more female elected officials. Whether it be in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, we need more women in STEM. Whether it be laws or social justice, poverty, economic circumstance, whatever the situation is, women have phenomenal ideas, and if we invested more in their leadership, it's just unbelievable where we can go. So that's where the Women's Foundation came about in 2007, was to start investing in these brilliant ideas through grant making, through public education campaigns, through community programs, through partnerships like the one we have with the Office Depot Foundation, to really make sure, like I said, women are visible, valued, and heard.
Did you hear all of that?
And the list goes on and on and on.
But really, that is not just light stuff. I mean, you're talking about civil justice, you're talking about STEM, you're talking about medicine, you're talking about opportunities, quite frankly, that a lot of people 10 years ago would say, no, couldn't do that, can't do that. And I remember being on a panel when they asked me, do you think that women help women? And I really had to ponder that answer, because I don't know that 10 years ago that was really out there like that. I actually have to say now, they most certainly do. I think that we take great pride in being able to see and help and lend that hand and be that wing and be able to do that. But when I hear you, this is not just helping them get through school. This is really a career. This is building a future. And
yeah, the
really,
Women's Foundation is all about social change. Direct service is incredibly important. You have to, just last night we were holding our Giving Circle kickoff meeting for 2016. Our Giving Circle is a place where women of all different backgrounds come together. They each make a minimum donation of $250, some much more than that. But then together we collectively review requests for proposals and then give out micro grants to help women with brilliant ideas to create social change in the community. That you don't have to be a gigantic foundation or organization to make that change. Certainly it helps if you have a substantial amount of money to do it, but that a $2,500 grant can help, as it did this past year, girls aging out of foster care at Vita Nova to come up with a plan for how to build financial literacy. And Jeff DeMario, their CEO there, had applied for a grant that the girls themselves wrote, and now they're doing a Train the Trainer program in order to empower young women aging out of foster care to develop a financial plan and a budget, and then they get to train other women through it. And so you might end up having these young women, go from foster care to huge careers in financial planning because they're learning how to do it at such a young age. And this is a population who's so underserved, but we know everybody, quite frankly, needs that kind of training. So, what we were talking about last night at the Giving Circle is that direct service is super duper important, right? So this same population, the foster care youth, they need a home. They need a roof over their heads. They need food in their belly.
Yes.
They need an education. That's direct service. Incredibly important. What the Women's Foundation is trying to do is recognize there are great people doing direct service. Let's raise awareness about them. But where the Women's Foundation comes in is to look at those root causes of the problems and try to identify and address how do we create social change around the issue that there are young people who don't have a roof over their head, and that's particularly impactful to young women, the sexual abuse that happens, the exploitation of them that happens. If you don't get an education, if you don't advance in your career, women still only make something like, 77 cents on the dollar, and that's even with a PhD from, Harvard University kind of thing. So we're all about trying to create social change to address those root causes of the problems, and I love them partnering with the Office Depot Foundation and you, Mary Wong, because we've then got the Beehive, where we're trying to say, okay, how do you lift one another up? Because it was so divisive before, because they pit one another, against one another, women after one another. We're now working, as a community to say, look, how do we lift one another up? How do we, one of our programs, Women Opening Doors for Women, men have that old boys network. They make sure that they bring along all of the men in their network with them as they rise. Women, we haven't been doing that because we've been the one woman on that corporate board. We've been the one lawyer in the law firm. So we don't have those networks in the same way. They're getting better. But your creation of that Beehive and the Wing Woman is exactly that, taking it, into this fluid part where we're supporting one another and helping one another. So that way when a woman gets to be an elected official and she turns out of her seat, she's got 3 more women waiting in the wing that she's mentored. And make sure that they are now running for those open seats as well, where it brings in our Women Opening Doors for Women program, our Women on the Run campaign training program, all of these programs that are about building women's leadership.
Wow.
I know I know. It's so funny. I've been a part of it for so long, and even when I hear her talk about it, I'm like, man, we do a lot of stuff.
We do a lot of stuff.
You have to be so proud.
So incredibly proud. So super proud. But really, I'm most proud of, I think, the group of women, my Beehive, that I've been able to bring together, that the two of you are part of, that have made the Women's Foundation's programs as impactful as they are, because it's not done alone. It's a whole group of volunteers, of women and men, that have come together to say, we want to change the way the world works. We want women and girls to be visible, valued, and heard in our community here in Palm Beach County.
And one of the things that I want to say, because I've known Judith for a long time now, and just watching the behind the scenes, a lot of people talk about leadership, they talk about collaboration. It's easy to do that. Judith lives it, breathes it. I mean, watching her and just the way that she puts together the programs, and also the way she uplifts people. I mean, we were just in a meeting the other day, and this one girl who I know she wanted to step up the plate and do something, Judith was giving her an opportunity to take on a leadership role, and she was kind of shying away, and she was like, you know what, we're going to do it together. Let's do this project together, just to lift this girl up. She's a younger girl just starting out in her career, and she just, the look in her face, she got really excited, and to know that Judith is part of that story of helping her really take that bigger step in her career and become a better leader. And you do that with everyone that you meet, honestly. I mean, you do it for me all the time. She's my wing woman, like,
well,
100%.
I was just going to say, she can be my wing woman.
Well, it's because it's about giving back. It's about being the difference maker. Because somebody made a difference in my life. Women make a difference in my life every day, right? I mean, Mary, great example. We met with you. We told you about the Girls Leadership Institute and our desire to really increase particularly underserved girls' opportunities in STEM. And you said, how can I help? I want to be a difference maker. And so you invested in it and are helping us with the financial resources to make this program free for girls across the county. Kate, you know, you're my difference maker and my wing woman in that I say, hey, we have this great idea. And then I go, oh my gosh, what can we do? We've got these 20 other things. And you brainstorm with me. You say, look, here's the part I'm going to take and here's the part you're going to take. So it's, somebody makes a difference in your life, you would like to, what is it, pay it forward and make a difference in theirs as well. That's all that, you know, leadership is about. It's not about being the face of it or the front of it. It's about being behind with everybody else in saying to them, let's do this together. And that's what's so great about, I think, the community we're trying to create here in Palm Beach County through all these programs.
So I understand you have a new word.
I do, yeah.
So glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so I know it's good. So what is it, please?
Well, just like the beehive, it's another B word.
Okay.
No, so yeah, I was saying the Women's Foundation in our book club, our By Women, For Women book club, recently read Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes, and Shonda talks all about owning your badassery. So I'll turn to the camera and look you squarely in the face as I talk about owning your badassery. And one, I don't, you know, I love to curse in public. I do it a lot privately, but publicly I don't. I was like, oh my gosh, she's saying badassery. But then to really own it, it's about, you know, when somebody gives you a compliment, saying thank you. When somebody says, hey, you can do this, you're an expert, speak on this panel, don't be like, no, imposter syndrome, I can't do it. It's saying, absolutely, I do have that expertise, owning it, figuring out what you're good at, what you believe in, and owning it. And it's part of also, I think why that spoke so much to me about owning your badassery, about claiming it and saying, yeah, I am a badass, and that's a great thing, and not being shy about it, is that we're in a society and a culture where men are allowed to do that in a way that women right now are not. Girl Scouts and Lean In had a few years ago their campaign around banning the word bossy. You know, that the little girl on the playground, when she starts organizing everybody in jump rope, that's leadership, and she grows up and starts running the corporation, but she gets called bossy for doing that. A boy on the field who organizes, you know, the football team and runs a company, that's called leadership. So why are we telling girls, you know, that they can't be bossy when really it's a leadership skill? Or why are we saying to folks, you can't just say, thanks, I am awesome. Men can say, thanks, I'm awesome, and yes, I'm an expert, and you should give me that award, and yes, I should speak on that panel. But when women do it, it's seen as impolite. We're supposed to be completely humble and no, it's not me. And so I loved Shonda's advice about just, you know, owning your badassery. You know, she owned a night on television. She owns this whole night on television, which is unheard of. And so own it, claim it. And so I think part of what we're trying to do at the Women's Foundation is help women claim that badass self and to feel really good about themselves in the process.
Well, I love it.
I love it. I want to thank you for being a badass difference maker.
Thank
You
you.
are awesome, and thank you for coming today. And I thank you for all that you do for all the women in Palm Beach, for all, really, for our future growth, for our young women, and for all of us. You've taught us a great lesson in life.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
so
for
much.
being a part of the Hive.
Absolutely. Buzz, am I